एकेडमिक्स की दुनिया में बड़ा नाम है, किसी परिचय के मोहताज नहीं है। सर, आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी कि अपनी कीनोट स्पीच के साथ आज के इस प्रोग्राम को स्टार्ट करें, जहां भी आप कंफर्टेबल हो। जी, आ जाइए।
सभी को प्रणाम, नमस्कार, गुड मॉर्निंग टू यू ऑल। Rajneesh ji, then all the audience who have come here, mainly faculty, students, in this very important program which is arranged by Zee Media. It is very important that this particular Sammelan is called Education Sammelan. And today is the date on which exactly 2 years ago, the new National Education Policy 2020 was announced. So it is the second year of celebration of National Education Policy. And I have been given to tell about these 2 years which passed by, were all pandemic years. We were all, हम सब त्रस्त हो गए थे कोरोना से, और इस दुनिया में एक तरफ कोरोना का बहुत बड़ा हमारे ऊपर एक गहरा, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, इफेक्ट हो गया, असर हो गया, लेकिन दूसरी तरफ शिक्षा नीति भी आ गई थी। तो ये दोनों का इकट्ठीकरण करते हुए हम कैसे आगे बढ़ रहे थे और आगे बढ़ेंगे, इसके बारे में आज यहाँ चर्चा होने वाली है। 2-3 मिनिस्टर्स भी आने वाले हैं बाद में, तो मेरे ख्याल से ये बहुत ही सही समय पे किया हुआ कार्यक्रम है। Now I will come to 2 issues jointly. Number one, the corona effect was such, it has negative effect, there was a positive effect. Rather than negative effect of so many deaths, so many problems, let us take the positive aspect, that during the last 1.5 decades, the technology has already emerged, it was already in place. We were having possibilities of giving online education, but we never experimented. Very few institutions in the country tried to provide education through the digital medium, through internet, through online platforms. Few had done it, but not many. But pandemic made everyone to do it. Whether it is from school education to high school education to college and university education, everyone slowly moved on to becoming online educators and online learners. I think this is the first positive benefit which happened. We had another program which many of us in higher education were running, that of training of the teachers. And training of teachers is important from 2 angles. One is from the pedagogical aspects, what, how, where, when, how to use effectively the methodologies in order to make the learners learn. And all of this teacher training also used to happen in a physical space, in a classroom mode. But pandemic suddenly stopped all of this. So we had to innovate by using, again, platforms like maybe Zoom, maybe Google Classroom, maybe WebEx, maybe the Microsoft team. We had to graduate to start training of faculty members also in an online mode. And look at the efficacy which was achieved. Number one, where in a particular course, at most 30, 40, 50 teachers could be called for physical face-to-face training program. Now that number could increase to 200, 300, 500 because it is in an online mode. Everyone can join in provided there is an internet connectivity. Second, the experts who were giving this coaching training were drawn from nearby place, at most 1 or 2 from a distant place, and there was limitation on this. During pandemic, these programs attracted experts drawn from not just within the country, but from abroad, from all geographies of the world, both from industry and from academia. I think the richness of the program increased manifold, the effectiveness increased manifold, and therefore pandemic gave us a lesson that we can do teaching learning processes in an online mode, which earlier was supposed to be only in the face-to-face, in very little was being done in the online mode. And this is a big ticket change which happened thanks to Corona. We have all seen how different types of applications came up. Huge number of edutech companies have come up during these 2 years, more than about 4,000 of them, small and big. Startups have emanated and they are all giving excellent education content, not just the audio, but it is a AVGC, audio, visual, gaming and comics. All of that embedded in a manner that the learning process becomes smoother, easier, effective. I think all of this could happen during this pandemic. Now I'll come to the other aspect of the national education policy, which came in exactly 2 years ago, which is some culmination of what we say consultations with more than 2.5 lakh village panchayats. Can you imagine such a very large scale consultation was done, and based on that this policy came in. And it has almost all the elements which any country of the world would even imagine that it should be there in education. I think that's why it's the most progressive education policy that has ever come, rooted in our Indian ethos and values on one side, modernity and the state-of-the-art technologies on the other side, and also taking care of all variety of learners. Their requirements are addressed in this. That's why I will only list out few major areas which will reflect on what I am saying. First and foremost, it talks about multidisciplinary education. Education cannot be monodisciplinary. All disciplines have to work together. You are in Zee Media, only persons from media will understand better probably that unless you know technology, you cannot be effective. Unless you also have the creativity, you cannot be effective. Unless you know the knowledge of science, technology, geography, history, you cannot be effective. And therefore, this particular phenomenon of multidisciplinarity, which is the core of education, we had somehow forgotten and started becoming unidisciplinary, and now we have again moved on to becoming the multidisciplinary. This is a very important change that is bringing in the higher education sector. Come to the other aspect of multiple exit, multiple entry, which is reflected in the policy. That means a student, when he comes in or she comes in, may have come in because of compulsions from parents, from peers, from friends. But after coming into an institute of any domain, maybe engineering, maybe pharmacy, maybe architecture, maybe commerce, maybe science, you find that you do not fit in here. Your liking was somewhere else. And if you want to leave and then go into some other domain, I think all of that which you did for that 1 year gets lost. And this policy allows to take a certificate out of that and go. Maybe you will add on some more skills in terms of some additional courses called bridge courses and become employable. That is the duty of the both student as well as the institute where the student had come for learning. Some of them go out because of the difficulties in the family, because of compulsions in terms of health, in terms of monetary problems. And after settling down in a couple of years' time, wants to come back and then rejoin where one had left. And there was no provision earlier, and all the programs which were of 3 years were to be completed in 5 years, 4-year programs to be completed in 6 years. And once exited is exit. You have to again start from the scratch. And many times मैं हिंदी में सांप सीढ़ी का खेल होता है ऐसे, वो सीढ़ी चढ़ के ऊपर तक आए थे, लेकिन अभी सांप का मुंह देख लिया तो नीचे आ गए, तो फिर स्टार्ट वहीं से नीचे से करना पड़ता है. तो from that moving on, the academic bank of credits, the place where like a bank account, you have your own credit account of educational credits, you store your credits and make use of them subsequently when you rejoin or to go to some other college, and that academic bank of credits is also a very important thing. I said about rooted in Indian values, and this is very, very important. We have ancient wisdom, Indian knowledge systems, be it in terms of science. In fact, many a times we miss out that the science emanated from Bharat, India, and it went to West and then further got developed there, no doubt about it. We must respect what has happened there, but what has happened here earlier prior to development in the Western world is also to be remembered, and whether it is in mathematics, Aryabhatta, Bhaskara, etc., or in physics, chemistry, astronomy. We also have, in terms of Ayurveda, the best grammar that is possible in Sanskrit. All of that is also to be known to our students, and therefore a lot of content derived from this, being proud of it, being happy about it, but not enough. How do you make it relevant to today's needs of the society? How do you make them helpful? And all of this is mentioned in the policy. Innovation has been given great significance, and we have been experimenting with Smart India Hackathon for the last 4 years. We have seen how our young generation can create out-of-the-box ideas into solutions. And they are not only solutions for our country, but the rest of the world as well. Whether it is problem of pollution, whether it is water scarcity, how do you take care of it, to how different types of emerging technologies are used in order to control traffic, in order to manage various types of distribution systems. We are talking about Gati Shakti today, all of that using technology. And technologies like artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, machine learning, robotics, 3D printing, blockchain, augmented reality, virtual reality, all of these are very, very significant for the next generation in terms of the jobs. Many a times it is said that about 40 to 50% of the jobs that exist today will vanish, but new jobs will get created. We should not be worried about jobs being lost in the current domain, and therefore skilling, reskilling, upskilling, these words have also become important. Those who are already in jobs need not be too happy. Their jobs may be at danger because if they are not up to date, and that's why learning should not stop. We talk about lifelong learning. Unless you practice self-learning, lifelong learning, we will become irrelevant within no time. And that is also embedded in the policy. We have a very important feature which we have been talking about for a long time, that of access and equity. But access and equity along with quality is very, very important, and therefore, while gross enrollment ratio to be increased from present 27% to 50% in the next 10 to 15 years, we have to concentrate and focus on 3 other parameters. One is quality, the second one is affordability, and the third one is accountability. All the institutions who are coming into the education space are accountable. They may charge fees, and therefore they have to deliver to students as per their choice different subjects that they want to learn in a manner that they become employable. Some of them become entrepreneurs. How do you take care of these students is very important, and that's accountability. And therefore, it also talks about how the entire system of regulation should become transparent, not only transparent, self-declared. Like in the company law, you say that, whatever your status you mention, but if you have cheated, there will be heavy penalty. And why not bring the similar feature in the education system? And that's why regulation is talked to be of a nature that it should be light but tight. Light in the sense you don't ask too many questions. Let the institution self-declare what all they have honestly, and then let the candidates who take admission look at it, and if they find that what they have claimed is not correct, it's a falsehood, they can immediately complain, and then the stringent possible action can be taken. And that's how the regulatory mechanism is also being changed from this present multiple regulatory bodies to a single regulatory body. So in all formats, in order to make education sector vibrant, in order that it becomes really quality, it also is affordable. That's why digital education, digital universities talked about education being provided at your doorsteps. You don't have to go to the college. The education will also come to your home through the laptop, through the mobile phone. All of this is possible in the present day technology. And if the future, after the 2 years of the national education policy being rolled out, many of these reforms we are finding place already in terms of regulations declared by both AICTE, UGC, in terms of more number of courses being allowed to be taken by online mode, 40% of them. How we can make them entrepreneurs through use of what we call incubators in our institutions. How value-based education, universal human values is important, and we have been training students from colleges earlier to technical to now we have moved on to even including UGC colleges in order that value-based education is imparted to students, so that in general, the entire education sector will pave the way for the economic development of the nation, in turn becoming a very strong, robust economy on one side, but at the same time, society which will help the whole world. So we often say, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu. I think these are two ancient philosophies we should never forget. We should always think about peace in the whole world and how do we contribute towards that. And that is one aspect, because we are all one family. There will be minor fights in the family, but we still take care of each one of the members of the family. That Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam as well as Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu includes not just human beings, but all creatures, animals, plants, even those who outwardly look like non-living, for example, mountains and rivers and nature, all are to be taken care of. Only then the planet can survive. There is a danger for this planet right now, and if we have to survive as a planet where only place today which we know where living beings exist, human beings exist, Homo sapiens exists, there is a great responsibility, and this responsibility comes through education, and that's why education is important. Thank you, Zee Media, for inviting me for this inaugural session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an enlightening and wonderful speech. मैं एक बार फिर से रजनीश सर को स्टेज पर बुलाना चाहूँगी to just give a memento from our side to Dr. Sahasrabudhe. Please, तालियों का सिलसिला बंद मत कीजिए. और इसी के साथ हम अपने पहले सेशन को भी स्टार्ट करने वाले हैं. I'll hand over the stage to my colleague now. Thank you so much, Dr. Sahasrabudhe. Thank you.